Hello, 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 and welcome to the Blue Oval Podcast. I am Ben Weissel, and joining me, as always, Garrett Allen. How's it going, man?
So Ben, as if the indoor track season, if that didn't kill me, then the spring allergies most certainly were. Recently went to an allergist because I was like, I'm having trouble breathing. And they ran a few tests, and the doctor calls me and goes, not only are you like allergic to everything, you're severely allergic to everything. There was one measurement where it's like if you're above zero point 0.1 of a threshold, that's considered abnormal. She's like, your number is 18.9. I was like, oh,
Perfect.
so
That
I was
is
like,
what I wanted to hear.
That's why I can't breathe while I run. She's like, probably. So basically, if you don't see me on this podcast next week, it's because I didn't make it.
So what are they setting you up on then? It sounds like you're in dire need of help here.
Apparently, yes. She's like, like, oh, so like Zyrtec every night, and then she's like, you're gonna have to get like allergy shots. I was like, that sounds like a lot of effort. I've made it this far. Like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So we'll have a follow up later. But basically, I'm a warrior. Like, I mean, I'm pretty impressive, pretty tough. Just gotta say that.
Courageous is the word that comes to mind. And as someone who uses Zyrtec every day in the spring, I totally understand. It is a necessity.
Yeah, we're struggling out here. We're also struggling to get ratings and reviews on the podcast. We got two while you were gone, like two great comments. I don't know why it's just a you thing whenever you step out and we get good comments and reviews.
I know. I was insulted by it. I shouldn't have been that insulted, I guess, because they came in before they knew I wasn't going to be on the podcast. But yeah, it was
I know,
weird
but
weird timing.
it's better for me and Finn's narrative if we pretend like they did know. We did get +1 on Spotify, so thank you for that. All right, Ben, there's a whole lot to go over. Ben, there's no way we can cover every single significant thing that happened. It's just not possible. So we're just work with us. We're trying our best. Let's give it a shot. Crazy weekend. You kick it off, man. Where do you want to start?
Yeah. I don't feel bad missing last weekend when I come back to this. It's like
Yeah.
I leave and there is just a giant mess, and that giant mess is just everyone deciding to run insanely fast times all at once. And so we're just going to break it down by event because there's just so much going on that the only way I was able to process all this was going event by event. So we're going to start at the top at the 800, and we're going to start on the men's side. Abdullahi Hassan running 145 over Bryan, who ran 146. We also saw a pair of 145s from the Arkansas duo of Rivaldo Marshall and Tyrice Taylor. Not a whole lot of reaction here on my end. Did you have any particular insights from? I mean, they're all really good performances, but this is kind of like, hey, you're on the outdoor oval now. You were set up to run a fast time. You did. That's awesome. But I don't know how much we necessarily learned about any of these guys.
No, I think from Hassan's perspective, that's especially true. It's like, yeah, we know you're just supremely fit, talented. He was going to run something quick. I don't think at any point we would have been surprised if someone came to us and said, hey, Hassan's going to run 145 this spring. We're like, well, yeah, he ran 145 in the winter. Like,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. It's a nice win, but it also like wasn't a crazy good field. I think for the Rivaldo Marshall Tyrice Taylor group, 145 is like, it's a nice way to kind of get back on the horse. They had struggled a little bit. There was some inconsistency, especially from Marshall, but there was just some performances where you look at them, you're like, I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah.
That didn't go well. And so I don't know again if this really tells us anything new about them, but I do think it can like reestablish like momentum, especially with Marshall, especially at the right time of the year, right? Like, believe it or not, we're not that far off from the postseason. Like, we're really not. Like, I'm taking a look here at some of our stuff.
We're what, 6 weeks away?
We are,
or from national championship. We're probably less than that for regionals.
For perspective, the Ivy League championships, which I believe are the first major conference meet to happen, are 1, 2, or 2.5 weeks out.
Jeez.
2.5. Like, it's not far.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, it all comes up fast. Yeah, and what I thought you were going to end that sentence with, we're not that far removed from Rivaldo Marshall winning a national title,
we're not.
and even though it does feel like it's been a while. So again, if he can be in a strong enough fitness shape, then he has a chance at competing at the very highest level. We've seen it before, right? Now he's going to be going up against a pretty solid field and one that's probably a lot better than that indoor national title one that he won previously. But yeah, I mean, this is a good sign. I think you make a good point that, again, we knew he was talented, but we didn't know if he was fit, and at least at this level of fitness right now. And this proves that he is, which is exciting. Elsewhere on the
Real
men's,
quick.
yeah, go ahead.
Can I just quick trivia? When do you think the first postseason meet, a conference meet, is across any division at any point this season?
Oh, it's probably some D3 conference
It's correct.
on May, let's say May 2nd.
April 25th, this Friday.
Oh, that's right.
All right, sorry, I had to throw that out there. I was just curious
No,
if you could get it.
that's good. I appreciated that trivia. All right, so elsewhere on the men's side, we saw Kyle Reinheimer run 146, beat a bunch of other guys who ran 146. He continues to have a strong year coming off of his indoor season. I don't think there's too much to go into there, but because we just saw so many guys run 146 this
Yeah.
weekend. If you ran 146 this weekend, awesome job. We saw it. We just can't talk about it because we would just be talking forever.
Real
But
quick,
Reinheimer getting the win is definitely notable.
well, that's what I was going to say. So is Reinheimer's win more impressive than the 145s?
No, I would say
Hmm.
no.
Okay. I thought it was a really impressive win. I thought his kick was
I do
excellent.
too. I like the 145s a little bit, a tad bit more.
Um. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I think
I'm really.
Christian Jackson's 146 win is pretty notable considering the guys that he beat as
Yeah.
well.
He split 145 in DMR this past
He's looking
winter.
good.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
looked really good. Really, really good. The women, however, were a bit more exciting.
Yes.
Victoria Bossong and Gladys Chepngetich, Bossong of Harvard, Chepngetich of Clemson, each running 159. A slew of women just a couple seconds behind them at Kosgei at 2 flat, Gorierin at 201, Gabriella Grissom at 202. Bossong, big time performance here.
Yep.
Where are you on the Victoria Bossong hype train? Like where are you beginning to kind of feel where her spot is in the national picture?
I read your first thoughts article and I think I'm there as a national title contender. Like she can absolutely win it.
Contender or favorite?
I don't know. See, I don't really feel good about anybody as a favorite right now. I mean, we'll talk about Whitaker's performance and Rose's run as well. Michaela Page just ran 201. I think there's like 6 women who could realistically win the national title, and I think Victoria Bossong is one of them. It was never a question of her tactics over the last year or so. It's always been, hey, is she just fit enough to compete against the Michaela Roses, the Juliet Whitakers of the world? And I think this 159 shows that she can. And I mean, there was a strong 10 seconds during the indoor national meet that I thought she was going to win the 800
Mm-hmm.
meter title.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I really think that this 159, in addition to that performance, puts her in that top tier with everybody else. Like I really don't know what else we could realistically ask from her to do. I mean, Gladys Chepngetich, great name as well, and she took her down and ran that 159. I don't think there's anybody in the country that you would necessarily say, hey, they have a way better chance at winning the title than Victoria Bossong. I just don't see anyone else out there that I feel like has separated themselves to a significant level in this field.
I think you're right. Like I will say that from the sense of like I don't think this 800-meter field has been particularly impressive, like in any major way. Like Rose, we'll talk about her in a moment. Big win recently at Bryan Clay, but Bossong kind of having a great regular season run at I think the John Thomas Terrier Classic. I want to say where she ran I think 2 flat or 201. Then indoor nationals where you're like, oh, is she going to win the national title? And she doesn't quite get there, but she's not far off either. Now she runs 159, and you're beginning to put the pieces of the puzzle together. I just don't know if I would be there yet, but just because of how crowded the women's 800 is, and yet at the same time, like I said in the article, I wouldn't argue against anyone who wanted to put her in that conversation. I wouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Chepngetich, really good run. We've known that she's very talented. 159, again, great performance. It's kind of a wake me up in the postseason kind of
Yep.
with her, where
Yep.
she can run these great regular season performances. We just need to see it in regionals and then at nationals, right? And that's where it's going to be the biggest differentiator for her. Moving on to the other big race in the 800 was Michaela Rose taking home the win in 2 flat over Maggie Congdon, Sophia O'Sullivan, Juliet Whitaker, all running 2 flat as well. Lauren Pellicora 201 and Megan Hunter 202 in that meet as well. This was interesting. Seeing Congdon and O'Sullivan kind of drop down and run well was, I think, very encouraging. And I think maybe the biggest takeaways were their performances this weekend as a whole out of this group. Michaela Rose, I think, again, nice that she picked up that win. Still doesn't seem like she's just that complete Michaela Rose that we saw maybe a year ago, although she's winning races without maybe being her best, which I think is very promising. And then Whitaker, not running a bad time, but it's just weird to see her not winning or at least finishing second in a lot of these races. So where's your level of concern with her at the
moment? God, that's such a reasonable but difficult question. I would struggle to say that like my concern, it's not dramatically different than it was prior to this past weekend, because I think
Sure.
I came into this before this past weekend. I was like, hey, Whitaker's probably not the clear-cut favorite, but she's still among the favorites, and I could still realistically see her winning a national title. And despite her finishing 4th, she was still very close to the leaders, in the mix for the win, ran 2 flat, and my thought of, well, she's still among the best, she could still win the national title, that hasn't really changed. But does it validate the idea that she's maybe at the top of her game right now? It does. I don't think that's true. I don't think she's there quite yet. But June is still, month and a half out, 5 weeks out. I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic. Like I'm not optimistic, but I don't even know like what I'm trying to say here. Does that? I don't know if any of that made sense.
Well, she's an interesting case because like she's had regular seasons similar to this in the past where she's not dominant. She comes in the national meet and we're like, yeah, she's one of the title contenders, but not the favorite because
Right.
she wasn't dominant throughout the regular season. And then she goes out and has a fantastic national meet. That was our expectation going into the indoor season, and then she didn't. So that's why I think there's that hesitation. If she had run well at nationals, I think we which again is one prelim race that we're basing this off of. If she had run well at nationals, I think we see this performance like, it's fine. She's still probably the favorite. But I think there's a lot of stock, at least in my mind, being placed in that one prelim race, and that's what I unfairly probably is what is holding me, just having a lot of concern for her because it doesn't seem like she's at her top of her game, and it didn't seem like she could rise to the occasion like she normally could in the past.
Yeah. No notes. I'd agree with that. No notes. All right, we're gonna move off of 800, 1500. A lot of sub 340s on the men's side, a lot of sub 410s on the women's side. At Bryan Clay, Washington Nathan Green runs 335. Very conservative effort initially, pretty much until the last 450 meters, he really begins to make his move. He merges with the overall win. Abel Tefra, the second best collegiate in the field at 335 from Georgetown. Ada McCarthy, 336. Isaiah Givens, 337. Matt Strangio wins his heat of the elite section in 337. And then Montana State's Harvey Cram from the invite section, not even the elite section, but the invite section, runs 337. I don't know if I have like a good like take for any of this. I don't know. I like what was your initial reaction?
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot either. I thought Harvey Cram was the big story, honestly.
Yeah,
Like to run 337, that really came out of nowhere. And I think validates a lot of his performances over the last month or so, or a couple months or so. And I think throws him because he runs steeplechase as well, right?
836
Um,
steeple.
yeah, so really interesting name to look at for the steeplechase now as well. And even if he doesn't run well in the steeplechase, he's looks like he's in pretty good position for the 1500 meter as well, which is an interesting development for Green. I actually liked the conservative tactics. It was a kind of a throwback to a year or so ago when he was more the sit and kick kind of runner
Yep.
behind the Wascom and Hauser. Well, kind of very similar to Wascom of just kind of sitting there and then pushing hard in the last 400, but just kind of letting Hauser do a lot of the work earlier on. I like that for him. That suits him better in my mind when he's constantly pushing and matching moves. I don't think that's a very good tactic for him. I think he has such a strong and powerful and just quick final kick that he needs to save that late. And when he does, as we saw here, it's very, very productive. Outside of that, I mean, Tefra, and you mentioned this, good validation of his NCAA title win to run 335, run a time that you would expect an NCAA title champion to run. I think that's really solid. Outside of that, though, I mean, there wasn't as fast as times as you've come to expect at a Bryan Clay kind of meet.
I agree. I agree. Harvey Cram, we going back to him, the 337. What's his best event? What will he run? Like you had to put money on the table right now. He's going to run this at the regional meet.
And we'll talk about the steeplechase more later.
We will.
Steeplechase is tough. I ultimately think that's probably where he'll land because I think there's still a better chance he makes it to a final in the steeplechase than a final in the 15. The 15 is just so volatile. 337 is great, but that's
It's not
just
what it used to
getting
be.
no, exactly. That's a prerequisite. That's not a differentiator anymore. And a 337 though that kind of speed is going to be super super helpful in a steeplechase race.
The what you said, it's a prerequisite, not a what is it? What was the
Not a
line?
differentiator.
That is such a wild sentence. Oh my gosh. What a crazy sentence. And you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Like we're gonna talk about these like Oklahoma State's like Wama Saudi ran 336. He had already run 336 this season, but that technically didn't count towards national qualification.
No.
Whatever. Double back to run 1328 in the 5K. Teammate Alex Stitt runs 337. A great time. Like maybe the best of his career. May not really tell us a whole lot. He runs 339 the next day to get third. Oregon, by the way, I don't know if you saw this. Oregon had 2 one-day meets.
Yeah, is that what happened? I was very confused. I was like, how are they doubling like this? And so they just had they structured it exactly like 2 one-day meets.
I think they had to have because one was called the Oregon Open in the Tifers results, and the other is called the Oregon Team Invite. And if you go
So
to,
funny.
which is it, I don't get it because, and then if you like go to like the results of like the Oregon Invite, there's 800, 1500, 5K results, right? But then if you go to like the Oregon Open, there's the same thing, 800, 1500, 5K results. I think if I had to guess, and I don't know this for a fact, I'm just speculating, they probably had to try to meet like a meet quota that they're trying to do. That's probably what it was if I had to guess. So they just held 2 different meets on the same weekend, but they're like, nope, it's 2 different meets. And I guess I guess it would work. I guess it's true. Yeah, it technically is.
Gave a lot of athletes good opportunities to double, which I think was exciting to see. But yeah, just such a strange little bit of weirdness in
Very
a
odd.
otherwise very like spectacular weekend. So Marco Langon, 337 as well. Again, this is kind of he's run fast times this year every time he touches the track. I think the win was probably the best part of his performance over a lot of Wake Forest guys who ran 338, including Rocky Hansen.
Michigan guys ran 338.
Yeah.
McFarland and Herger. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wish I could say more about those guys, but we don't have the time. And also 338, you're in position.
I've been impressed by Michigan. I've been very impressed by Michigan's middle distance core. Really good job by them so far this season. Did you see the interview that Donnie got with him after that race?
No.
He's talking. He's like, yeah, I kind of like wanted to like summon a little bit of that Culpepper winning the 5K title back in '98, and I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, I do this for a living, and I have no idea what he's talking about.
How did he watch? Like, did he watch that? Like, is that on YouTube somewhere?
I guess. I don't know how old he is, but I don't think he could have been even alive for that.
No, he could not have been.
Like, that's like, what crazy recall. You want to talk about student of the sport, to talk about a 5K title win from '98? What a wild.
That is either spectacularly like placed, like he knew he's like, all right, when I get interviewed, I'm going to just throw this nugget out because I am going to look so smart. Or which I don't think is what he did, or which I think is more likely, like you're saying, he is just a bigger student of the sport than I think any of us could have ever imagined anyone could be. That is that is an incredible pull.
I hope people are watching the YouTube channel, because when I said that, Ben like threw back his chair. He was like, what? What a random, super like just absurdly random stat to throw out. But yeah,
I love watching old races as much as anybody, but I'm not going back before the 2000s. That's crazy.
98? Yeah, 98.
Unless it's like El Garouge or something like that. I'm not going back to that. Is nuts.
All right, we're gonna stick on the 1500 women's side, staying at Bryan Clay. Washington's Chloe Forrester runs 4:05. Maggie Congdon, man, she had a great double. She ran 4:07. Sophie O'Sullivan, another great double, 4:08. Melissa Riggins, 4:09. Big takeaway.
Forrester continues to be on fire. I think the exciting thing is seeing Congdon and O'Sullivan run their doubles, right?
Yep.
Congdon looked good at the national meet. She outperformed what she had done during the winter regular season at the national meet and continues that momentum here with the 2 flat and 4:07. So not a huge surprise, but she's someone after that 4:02 at the U.S. Championships. You were expecting her to be a very significant presence at the top of every field that she's been in. She hasn't quite been that yet, but it seems.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, I guess like challenging for the win in almost every race that she's in.
Fair.
And that has not necessarily been the case. Now, again, I'm higher on her than I think almost anyone at TSR. I think she could absolutely still win a national title, but it seems like she's really starting to round into form, which is exciting. For O'Sullivan, this is back from, I don't know what she was maybe dealing with over the last 3 to 6 months, but she is finally, I think, rounding fully back into form here as well. You flashed the graphic in the First Thoughts article about what she did. What was it? The summer of 23?
23. Yep.
That was one of the best summers that we've seen a collegiate put together. And again, that was in 23. And those times like hold up really well in 2025, which is all the more impressive, right? But we never really saw her kick on from that, right? We didn't see that in the fall. We didn't, again, see it last year in 24. And we still haven't fully seen it yet. But it looks like we're getting a lot closer to that Sophie O'Sullivan, because if she can be that runner, there's very few people in the country that can beat her, and I would love to see her at her peak go up against the rest of this field, rest of this NCAA field, because I just think it would be a absolute battle to the line.
I think Sophie O'Sullivan proved that she's going to be very dangerous. You give her another 5 weeks for the national
Yeah.
meet, like, you know, I think people forget, like, she actually peaked pretty well despite not being an All-American last spring. I don't think she was an All-American. I could be wrong on
No,
that.
she looked like she was about to like fulfill a lot of what we had seen in the summer, but never. I don't think. I think you're right. Didn't cap off the season
Oh,
quite
she
as well.
was yeah, she did not finish as an, she made the finals, but like she had an injury in fall 2024, at least at some point, maybe winter 2025, no, winter 2024, excuse me. And but it's slowly been building back and then actually began to peak pretty well last year, not top form, but pretty
Yep.
well. Now she looks like she's healthy, she's in top form. Like when she's on, she's terrifying to race
Yes.
against. And I would never, and like right now, this is the first time where I've gone into an outdoor track season and thought, oh, Congdon may actually be able to replicate that 2023 summer form. And
Oh,
that's
O'Sullivan. Sorry.
I'm sorry,
Os-
O'Sullivan.
yeah.
Sorry, O'Sullivan. Yeah, you know what I meant. But um, yeah, crazy. So I'm very high on O'Sullivan. Who are you? So do you think Congdon can win a national title?
I do. I do.
Okay, so does that mean you think Forrester can win a national title?
Yeah, I think based off of what she's been doing, I think you have to. And we've talked a lot about her in the last, 12 months, really, ever since she's
Mhm.
broken out. And she just seems so, I keep using the word in control because it just, nothing seems to phase her right now. She just looks on a different level than basically anybody she's been running against.
Who are you higher on to potentially win a national title, Bossong or Forster?
Bossong.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'll say though Forster looks really good, like really, really good. I think she's a different version than what we saw last year.
Yeah, yeah. I think she's someone when we come around to predictions, everybody's really hesitant about putting her like in the top 3 because you're just like she hasn't really done it, and then when she finishes in the top 3 you're like, well, obviously, why
Oh
didn't we
right, of
predict that?
course.
That was
Right,
predictable, but I didn't predict it.
right. That's a very just sums up TSR perfectly. Okay, let's go to Wake Forest, where there was also more 1500-meter action. Salma Elbadra runs 4:05 for 1500 meters. Laura Nicholson runs 4:07. Bahia El Arfue, sure, I got it. 4:07 for 1500 meters. A handful of women running 4:09 behind them. Elbadra, this is now she ran 4:06, finishing behind Appleton in May at the Raleigh Relays. Now she runs 4:05, gets a pretty substantial win. She had shown really promising signs of improved fitness during the winter months. And we forget, during her time at Wyoming, she was competing at the NCAA Outdoor Championships in this event. What does she need to do to be an All American lock?
I don't think anything else. She's been running super
Are
well.
you there? Are you at an All
Yeah, I
American
think I'm
lock?
there. I think I'm there. I think she deserves to be. I think 405 beating she hasn't beaten anyone super strong yet, but following up a 406 with this, I think you have to put her as a lock. She'll get a great opportunity at SECs to really test herself, and I think that'll be the best indicator if she really is a lock or not. But I'm kind of there to put her as a lock at the moment. There really isn't anything else that she could have done better in my mind so far.
I'm trying to figure out like who would be the milers
It's
in
got
the
to be a long
SEC.
list of
It's like
of
so Lorena Rangel Beatrice was running unattached this past weekend, so it can't be
okay.
her if we're assuming that she's out. Bethan Morley, which I don't even know what she ran this past weekend, but I'm trying to figure out like who else is going to drop down to the 15.
That's a good point, actually.
I don't know who that would be. It's
Let's
no one
look.
from Auburn. It's no one from Mississippi State. I mean, Camila Gomez has been running well, but not like well enough to take down Elbadra.
Do you think? Do you think like anyone more distance oriented would drop down just so that they're not putting more mileage on their legs? Like I'm
Um,
thinking a Lemngole or something like
I
that.
don't. I don't think so because I think a lot of those teams in the SEC probably are like, we want the team
Need the
points.
points. Yeah.
So I don't think they would, and they usually don't, right? Like if you go like think about
Yeah.
some of those teams, like the indoor national meets a perfect example, or the SEC indoor championships, perfect example, where it's like, yeah, they may not run the 5K, 3K, or the 5K, 10K, but a lot of the times they'll still run it because they know they have to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're right. There isn't usually we're used to seeing a lot more SEC names up here. And there are some. There's plenty of women who have run sub 415, but nobody that's run under 410 that you're going to be expecting her to see. She should be a heavy favorite going into SECs.
yeah, I'm looking at this with Rangel Beatrice out. Bethan Morley's the only other contender. What did she even run this past weekend? She ran 423 in the 15 and 206 over 800 meters, so not ideal. And then that's maybe Tia Wilson, but like
Camilla Gomes. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
so that's all I got. That's all I got on that one. Laura
Laura
Nicholson, by the way.
Nicholson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to
Whoa.
talk? So 407.15 after running 15:33 at Raleigh Relays. What does she run in the postseason?
I'm scrolling through her TFers right now, and it seems like she definitely sees herself more as a 1500
I
meter
agree.
runner,
Yeah.
which is why I'll lean that direction. When you see someone break out like this and have a good performance in what appears to be their favorite event, even if that 5K might be maybe a little more open, I think she'll stick with the one she's most
Yeah,
comfortable
I
with.
think so too. I think she also runs the 15. 407's cooking. Like she has tons of momentum
Yes.
underneath her legs right now. Like, I mean, she is scary good. She ran 430 in the mile this past winter. Like she
Her
wasn't that far
800
off.
her 800 PR is 206, which I think is very funny,
Yeah.
considering she just ran
How fast can
407.
she run a 200 an 800 in?
I mean, based off of this, it's got to be 202 at least, I would
I was gonna say
imagine.
202 was my guess as well. Yeah. That's probably my
Yeah.
guess.
Very,
Um,
very, very strong performance from her. Really out of nowhere. Do we want to go talk about El Arfui
the
of Eastern
EKU
Kentucky?
runner, sure. I mean,
Yes.
she's kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
407, really, really good. I just don't know enough about her yet. So
Yeah, and we're just not going to learn that much about her until the regional meet. And
you're right.
I have thinking through predictions. Again, she's probably going to be a popular choice to be like, "Hey, I'm going to not just go by the performance list. This is the person I'm going to take out," which is kind of unfair. But I it's going to be
Well,
hard to say.
the challenge
Oh,
with her is that like it's like she's a new like international name, and when someone breaks out, they're like, oh, they're new to the NCAA. She's been racing with EKU
yeah,
since like fall 2023. Like she's not like brand new to the NCAA. It's just her breakout has been so sudden and out of nowhere that like I don't know what to expect.
I do like the list of names that she beat. Like beating Vera Schoberg
Yeah,
of Boston U is a very nice like scalp there. That's
Karen
someone
Parks,
who's
Lindsey
been running
Butler,
very
Sam
well.
Bush. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are really good names. So
Yeah, so she'll be an interesting name to keep an eye on as we move forward. But one last group of performances in the 1500 on the women's side. Claudia Kazimierska running 407, running 202 in the 800 as well. And Mia Barnett, her teammate, doing a similar double, running 408 and 203 in the 15 and 800 respectively. Really good just to see Kazimierska back and
yeah,
running very well. You throw her name into what is already a very loaded 1500 meter field, and you forget that at her best, she looked like she was better than a lot of these women that we've been talking about. So it's going this 1500 meter crowd lineup got even more crowded, and then Mia Barnett continues to be just super strong in basically everything she does. she doesn't probably get the shine that she deserves because she's always in races where people are beating her and running slightly better times. But she's just been super consistent and is someone that has a great shot at being in that final when it comes to the national championship. And if she's peaking at the right time, could put down a performance that surprises a lot of people.
Yeah, can you imagine being a 4:28 miler and not even being like the top 3 milers on your own team?
Yeah, being like, all right, we're going to Penn Relays. Probably not going to have you in our lineup. Sorry.
Which is crazy. For the 4x15, I think they would.
Yeah, for the 4x15, yeah, but not for the DMR.
No, they would not. Question, Kazimierska. A, is she right now a national title contender? B, can she be a national title contender by the time June comes around?
I'm hesitant to say at the moment. 407 is great. I would love to see her run a little bit more. Big Tens will be highly instructive in that regard, but she can be. And I think if she puts down even just another good performance, I'm ready to put her in there. I just need to see like 2 races after her hiatus.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to the steeplechase. We're going to go to the women's first. And it took us this long, but we got to an NCAA record. It's probably the least surprising. Actually, it might be the second least surprising NCAA record of this entire week.
Yes.
And we'll talk about the other one shortly. Doris Lemngole of Alabama goes out, essentially solos a 9:10. Behind her, Angelina Napoleon, 9:29. Great run from her of NC State. But Lemngole, you and I had said this. I think our writers had said this. We think she can break 9:10. She was 0.13 seconds off. Like, sorry, we didn't get it exactly. We were pretty close. I can't believe do we shrug our shoulders and move on? Like, that's a crazy thing to do.
She's amazing. It's really remarkable. I think this is a little bit of a broader conversation that we need to have here, but you think about the athletes that come in with the amount of hype that she did in our sport and really any other sport too. And there's so many of them that just don't meet those expectations, and even fewer who exceed those expectations. Like you think about LeBron James coming to the NBA and you're like, he was the next Jordan and he still exceeded really expectations of what people could have expected from him coming into the league. But there's littered with so many of the next Jordans, right, that never even got close to meeting expectations. She came in, we thought she was going to be one of the best in the NCAA, and she has proven not only to be one of the best in the NCAA, but the best in the NCAA for pretty much her entire career. And it's taken all-time greats to take her down at the peak of their fitness. And she just, continues to just overwhelm the NCAA with her talent.
I want to offer more analysis, but I can't.
And that's why I had to go to other sports to talk about her.
Like, it is absurd, and you're right. I also kind of wanted to make a quick unfortunately LeBron never surpassed Jordan, but just to kind of ruffle people out. I don't care. I have no opinion on that. I know it's a hot topic. I just want to see people get all flustered about it. But as far as the sport of track and field goes, in Doris Lemngole, what does she need to do to be considered the unquestionable GOAT?
I think just stay in the NCAA. I truly think if she just stays in the NCAA through her eligibility, there won't be any question. She's on an Edward Cheserek type of run right now. And as long as she stays healthy and keeps running in national championships, she's going to pick up so many titles and break every NCAA record that she can.
I think she is comparatively more fit than Cheserek was.
Yeah,
I do think
absolutely.
Cheserek was a better racer.
Yes, the way that he ran was set up more for tactical national title races than Lemngole is. Absolutely.
Do you know the Saquon Barkley thing where he gets into the end zone and then he swings his arms?
Oh yeah.
Circle? I kind of always thought about Cheserek when he was kicking.
I never thought about that, but that's perfect. That is exactly how he runs, especially at the end of like a 1,500 meter when he was just running full out.
He's like, help.
Oh, that's perfect. That's the end of Penn relays going up against Jordy
Jordan
Williams.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's just thought about that. Staying on the steeple, Oklahoma's Leah Geruto 934, West Virginia's Sarah Tate 937. Handful of women going under 10. Thoughts?
It's just gonna be I mean, we obviously are loaded at the very top of the steeplechase, especially if Kosgei decides to run in it. But the back half or the next group is going to be a battle. Like we're seeing a lot of women who are probably going to run in 920s this year.
How fast does your PR, not your finishing time, but how fast does your PR need to be an All-American in the steeplechase this spring?
Whew, let's see, where are we at right now in the performance list? I think you're gonna have to be like a 9. Let's say 932 or 934 at least.
I would have said 932. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Which we've only seen 3 women run that fast, but we're gonna see some really fast times at regionals. Would be my guess.
Yeah, like there's so many women I'm looking at here. I'm like, they can run faster. They can run faster. Lexy Halladay-Lowry hasn't run this yet. I feel like she probably will. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Men's steeple for what might be the most impressive run.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. I'm glad we agree. Louisville's Geoffrey Kirwa, 8:13 in the steeplechase. Behind him was Montana State's Rob McManus going 8:26. Iowa State Joash Ruto 8:27. Akron's Bismack Chepngetich running 8:27. Shout out to Ben. He put 9:26 and 9:27 even though.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Okay. I had to call you out. I'm sorry. Kirwa 8:13, NCAA number 2 all time. Crazy that this is still 6 or 7 seconds off the NCAA record.
I know. I was about to say the only reason this isn't an NCAA record is because Henry Rono was just a world champion at the time he was running as an NCAA athlete.
Wild. Kirwa 8:13, and I think people would be like, well, of course we knew he was an elite steeplechaser. Okay, he was an 8:22 guy. It's not so was Joash Ruto, but we weren't expecting Joash Ruto to run 8:13. This did come out of nowhere, and you look at him, he looks so strong. He basically he won going away. I am hesitant to call him the clear-cut sole national title favorite.
You can't.
You can't because James Corrigan exists. But Kirwa, he is a national title favorite. I think we can agree that Corrigan's probably still up there with him until we see otherwise. Is there any other athlete in the NCAA who you would be willing to put in that group right now?
I had a bigger group than you did last time we talked about this, but I agree. I think it's probably just those two because there really isn't anyone who's has shown the capability of even getting close to an 8:13.
This is run 8:17.
Yeah, but that's still fair, yeah. But still a significant distance off of that. Corrigan, I didn't think anybody would be able to touch what he had put together, but at this point you're talking about guys that have to be you would have to be able to qualify for the final in the Olympics to be able to win a NCAA title in the steeplechase. And that is just absurd.
That is absurd. That's crazy. That's an absurd thing to say out loud and have it be true. I don't know what to say. I'm just crazy impressed. It's question. Whose 8:13 was more impressive, Kirwa or Corrigan's?
I'm gonna go Corrigan's.
Corrigan, yeah, it had more implications.
Yeah. He needed to run that. So yeah, I I think the steeplechase is quickly turning into the most interesting event on the men and women's side, quite frankly, when you're looking at the type of times that are being run and just the overall competition is going to be better than almost anything we've seen in really any event over the last 5 years.
Does any collegian run faster than 8:13 by the end of the season?
Yes. I think you're going to have to run something like that at nationals.
I agree. I think you're probably going to have to run 8:10. I mean that dead serious.
I truly never thought we were going to see the NCAA record get anywhere close to being touched in my lifetime.
No.
And the fact that we are a couple seconds away at this point is...
What is it? Is it 8:06 or 8:07? Do we know?
I thought it was 8:08, but 8:06 actually sounds right.
I feel like it's 8:06, but regardless, any other takeaways as I look up what that record is from the rest of this field?
No, I thought Rob McManus, I liked that performance from him. Montana State continues to look really strong in the steeplechase. I think they're going to fill it up like BYU traditionally does as well. And as far as Ruto and Kipchirchir, I think it's just, all right, you're on the track of being All-Americans. No other big takeaways besides that.
8:05.4.
8:05.
Hand time.
Okay, so we still got some time.
Yeah,
before
so
that
about
gets broken.
8 seconds there, a little over 8. Yeah, I believe that's what the H stands for, right? Hand time.
Yeah. Yep.
So, okay, moving off of that, 5K. Hapton Samuel ran 13:05. Ishmael Kipkiri ran 13:09. Valentin Soko ran 13:13. Samuel's time is a new NCAA outdoor 5K record, which doesn't even come close to the indoor record. Do we have to talk about this at all?
No, great performance. Not surprising from these guys who ran sub 27 in the 10K. This is to be expected.
Cool. Can we move on?
We can move on. Let's go to the women's side, where we saw some other spectacular performances that were also unsurprising, with Pamela Kosgei beating Lexy Halladay-Lowry, both of them running 14:52 in the 5K. It's crazy the regularity that we're seeing 15 minutes being broken. That's, again, not something that really ever expected to see. And it's becoming...
4 women have run 14:52 this year.
Yeah.
What a crazy stat.
And it's like you run 14:59 and you're like, cool. You could finish runner up probably.
You can
in
run
the 5K.
14:52 and not even be top 3.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's crazy.
I mean, Hilda Olmamwe runs 15:04. Great performance. We're like, yeah, she's working her way back into fitness. Like, if she ran 15:04 last year, we're like, she's at the peak. This is amazing.
She's all-time go. And now we're like, solid. Golf clap. Great. Scrimger runs 15:05. Yeah. We don't even know if that's going to be good enough for All-American.
Yeah. That was a good performance from her, though. I feel like she's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle a little bit of things, of being like, hey, she wasn't an All-American this indoor season, and it seemed like, hey, she's still running well, but everybody's running a lot better. This seemed like a performance where she was kind of keeping her place in line, more or less.
Does Sophia Kennedy's 15:11 actually hurt her stock?
Yeah, probably. I mean, maybe not hurt, but it limits the upside, I think, for this year at least. It's like, all right, she's running well, but temper your expectations for this season.
Well, I mean, I think she had such a big breakout during the winter months. It's almost unfair to ask her to do anything more as just a sophomore right now. So, before we move off of the 5Ks, though, BYU high schooler Jane Hedengren ran 14:57 in an interview with Runner Space. I want to say Pamela Kosgei thought Hedengren was a pacer.
I mean, she looked like it. She was leading a race
up until what, 2 laps to go?
I mean,
like something like that. Like
not only running the time, but having the nerve to look Pamela Kosgei and Lexy Halladay-Lowry in the eye and be like, yeah, I'm going to run to beat you. I'm going to lead you like out, and nearly pulled it off. It was one of the scarier performances that you'll ever see, where you're like, oh no, she's not even in
she's
the
gonna be really, really
NCAA
good.
yet. Like, if we did our transfer value rankings right now, there's no question who would be number one in my mind. Well, maybe you could actually put Doris Lemngole in there, but it would be a tight battle between the two of them.
She's like the Wembanyama right now, the Victor
Yeah.
Wembanyama
Oh yeah. Yeah.
of like
You're
that,
like,
you're already so talented and valuable that like we're gonna put you in the transfer value rankings despite not even being in the collegiate circuit yet.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, she comes in as, I think, inarguably the best addition, I think best domestic addition that we've ever seen,
Definitely
right?
best domestically for sure. Like even I hesitate to like not put Tui in there, but I don't.
I think she's better than Tui.
I think she's better than Tui, which is a great like even if you're like, well, everyone's fashion nowadays, 1457 still destroys anything Tui ran as a high schooler.
Well, you just compare it to what Tui was running in high school, and you put that on the NCAA performance list. It was never like a top 5 time, like as a performance list. You come in right now, and yeah, she would be an All-American lock, like or at least close to it, as a high
I think
school
I'd put her
senior.
as a lock.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
I mean, just
Crazy.
imagine her getting to run with the BYU women next year, and how much better she's going to get.
I mean, they're losing Lexy Halladay-Lowry, and they might still just get better.
They might be better. Yeah, exactly.
So dumb. That's crazy. Good for Dilgy Taylor. I don't know how she does it and gets these women, but like I'm saying this as if she's the coach responsible for Hedengren's development. But you know, like
no, but it's like if you're seriously though, if you're a top like high school recruit, there's only so many places that you would want to go, and BYU has to be at near the top of the list because it seems like every single good athlete that comes in there just gets better and ends up winning an NCAA title or getting multiple All-American finishes, signs a nice pro contract, continues to work with those. Like it's a incredible cycle to just put yourself in, because there really isn't a whole lot of downside. It appears.
there's not. That's a great yes. There's no downside. I don't know what the downside would be. I don't think there is any. Like people, people seem to love to run for Dilgy.
Yes.
I mean, good for her. That's great. Let's move off of the 5K though. We'll wrap it all up with the 10K. Real quick, we can brief over the women's 10K. Jenna Hutchins, 32-22, the main 10K headline of the weekend.
Yep.
Easily wins by about 20 seconds in the 10K at Bryan Clay Invite. The field beforehand did not look that exciting. It was even less exciting when the final results came in. Does not mean Jenna Hutchins isn't great. Just means that there's not a whole lot to talk about. She was the clear favorite. She was the heavy favorite. She ran away with it. Ran roughly about the time that I think we could have expected. Let's move off of that. I don't really think there's a whole lot to talk about. The men's 10K, however, absolutely thrilling. Probably it may not have been the most impressive race of the weekend, but it was certainly the most exciting and the most thrilling. And that's because Furman's Dylan Schubert runs 27:45 to barely, and I mean barely, hold off Texas Tech Ernest Chariot, who also ran 27:45. Schubert won by 2/100ths of a second. That's 0.02 seconds. Said Michaela of Iowa State ran 27:47. I believe William Impanza of West Texas A&M also ran 27:47. Robin Kimwa-Berra, I want to say he ran 27:49. I could be wrong on that. Maybe 27:50. But a handful of men, just phenomenal 10K races. The reason why I did not have Schubert in my predictions is because there was no denying his talent, his long distance talent. We saw that in the cross country season, in his 5K, the Boston U season opener back in December. But he had been absent for most of the indoor track season, did not compete, scratched out of the indoor national meet. So naturally, I think we had questions of like, well, hey, where's his fitness at? He validates it with maybe the biggest win of his career. I think pretty convincingly so. Thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree. When you're talking about Dylan Schubert, if he's healthy and at the top of his game, there is very few people that he is going to lose to. And it's just we don't always know when that's going to be. And it's not like we get injury reports before races that tell us, hey, yeah, he's full go. He's not questionable. Like
That'd be nice if we did, though.
Oh, I would love it. We're absolutely never going to get that unless
No.
there's betting on NCAA races, which I mean, never say never.
Yeah.
But it's extremely hard for us to predict someone like him. But yeah, it was a thrilling finish. Did you? I mean, I had no way of knowing who won that race. Like you watched the video.
With the angle, no. I felt like Schubert was gonna barely hold off, just the way that it was unfolding. But like, there was no convincing or good way to know.
It was, I think, really cool to see how he reacted to Chariot coming on his shoulder. Oftentimes we see someone put together a little bit of a surge, and then once they realize they're not inching ahead, they kind of, it can be a little demoralizing and they run out of gas. For him to be able to hold his position all the way to the line, I think was really good to see. And yeah, I mean, for Chariot, I think this is a good race as well. He's shown his talent. I don't think it's very surprising to see him run 27:45. But yeah, Schubert, I think, is the main story here.
Dismissed Lokira, by the way, of Alabama, 27:47, just ahead of Saeed Michaela, who ran 27:48. So quick.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There. Quick addition there. I mean, for me, Dismissed Lokira, okay, super like aerobic-centric, elite raw talent kind of guy. Not surprising to see him run that fast. I thought he was eventually due, especially over the 10K distance. Saeed Michaela, this is definitely a better race than expected for him.
Yes.
Thought that was a huge result. Still want to see how that translates, but at least we know that he can run with the other like top All-American favorites. Like, and I think that's previously something that had kind of eluded him, at least over 5,000 meters, where he was never going to be a top half All-American, or at least a top 8 All-American, excuse me. Now I can, if you told me, hey, he's going to be 7th or 8th, I'd be like, okay, sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. And for Kwemo Ibera, I think this is right in line with what he showed during the NCAA cross country season, 27:50. I honestly could expect him to run faster too. At some point, he showed some very strong aerobic fitness during the fall season. So I think he's certainly someone that could end up outperforming his performance list spot when it comes to the national championship.
Yeah, he ran 27:56. Not sure why those results. A lot of results might have been a little messed up.
Okay.
Not sure.
Yeah.
But okay, Ben. I think that's it. I think we got it.
Yeah. That was yeah, heck of a weekend. We got through it. We've got a lot more practice at having these loaded weekends. I feel like if this would have happened 2 years ago, we probably would have both just like burst into flames. But yeah, we've had these wild weekends more and more, which is a testament to the quality of the NCAA at this point.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, that was good. So hey, listen, if you're enjoying this, go check out all of our interviews from the Wake Forest Invite on our YouTube page. Shout out to Donnie Spees, who got those. We appreciate you, Donnie. I'm going to have photos from Bryan Clay up on the site probably about the time you guys are listening to this. Shout out to Severe Grover, who got that. Penn Relays coverage coming up. That's coming later this week. In fact, by the time you're listening to this, I believe Penn Relays should have already started. So awesome there. We're going to have 2 representatives out there. And that's it. Rings and reviews. I think that's all I got.
Absolutely. Sound off in the comments about Garrett's Jordan LeBron comparison. That was real spicy. He's really passionate about that. So make sure you give full descriptions on why he is right or wrong. We'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
What a wild thing we could spark if there was just a long form debate on LeBron versus Jordan in the comment section of a Bryan Clay reactions video
podcast. Yeah.
That'd
be very on brand for I think a lot of our audience. I have to go check and see what the analytics suggest. But all right, Ben. Well, that's all I got.
All right. Well, until next week, Garrett. I'll talk to you.